and welcome to reading. Welcome to our reading lesson. So I know you just watched our read aloud for today. So now we're going to go into our reading lesson. So for our independent activity today, I'm actually going to be having you take a poetry quiz. So the reason we're doing this is because I am going to be kind of assessing where you are with poetry and what we've learned so far. So in independent reading, you will have a poem that you're going to read. You're going to do your, you do not have to do your poem basics on the actual poem because it is in Canvas, but it should be available to print out if you want to, but you don't have to. So as long as you're able to look at it, read it, and then kind of think about what it's about, and then you're going to answer the questions that go along with it, okay? So before you do that, I want to go through and kind of review poetry with you. I want to review our poetry basics and then just go through and answer. I have 3 questions we're going to answer that go along with the poem that we're reading. So this is our poem. It is called, oops. So this is the poem down here. It is called Jumping from the Sky. All right. So while we read the poem, we are going to be doing our poem basics. So for my poetry basics, if you remember, oops, back out a little bit. For my poetry basics, if you remember, the first thing I need to do is circle the title. My title is Jumping from the Sky. Read and circle the title. All right, then I'm going to number the lines and stanzas. So first, I'm going to do the stanzas. So there's 5 stanzas. Then I'm going to number the lines. All right, so now that I've done that, I need to read the poem. And so I know there's little stop signs right here. They're telling me to stop and answer these, but we're actually going to go back and do that part, okay? I want to do our poetry basics first. So I'm going to go ahead and read the poem. One by one, onto the tip of my nose, drifting with the wind, dancing in the mist, creating a masterpiece, a scene, a blanket of white and only white, quieting the hustle of screaming horns, slowing the rush of passers-by, layers of white fleeting, peaceful in the big city. All right, so let's see. You know, I'm looking and I actually don't think there are any rhyming words in this poem. I think this poem is actually free verse. So if you remember when I told you one of the other poems you read that was free verse, a free verse poem is when there are no rhyming words. So it's just a poem made for entertainment to entertain you. So I'm kind of thinking about what this poem's about. So initially I was kind of thinking rain, but now I'm kind of rethinking my idea because I'm like, well, it says a blanket of white. Man, what's white that falls from the sky? I think snow is white that falls from the sky, right? I know we don't get a whole lot of snow in Houston, so it might be a little new, but snow is white and it falls from the sky. So I'm going to write, this is about snow falling from the sky. All right, so those are my poetry basics. Super easy to do. We do it every single time, except for obviously on the quiz that I just told y'all because it's on Canvas. You're not gonna be able to write on it. I'm sorry, I could not figure out a way to help y'all write on it. Whenever you do see a poem and you are able to write on it, you're gonna do the poetry basics. Okay. All right. So now let's move on, and we're gonna answer these little questions that go with this poem. because I want us to think about it for our quiz that we're about to take, okay? So I'm going to reread and stop where it says the little stops, where it says the stop, so then I know what goes along with the box. Jumping from the sky one by one onto the tip of my nose, drifting with the wind, dancing in the mist. Okay, I'm going to stop. What are the examples of personification? What is being personified? So if you remember from yesterday, giving personification is giving human traits to something that is not human. Giving human traits to something that is not human. So what are the examples of personification? So I'm looking at something that's being given human traits that's not human. Well, it says jumping from the sky one by one onto the tip of my nose, drifting with the wind, dancing. So dancing, jumping, those are things humans do, right? Well, can snow do that? Can it jump and dance? No, it can't do that, right? So this would be an example of personification. So I'm going to say the snow is dancing and jumping. Okay. Then it asks me what is being personified, meaning what is being used as the example as being using the personification. Well, obviously it's the snow, right? And I kind of said that. So the snow is being personified. All right. Now I'm going to read until I get to the next stop sign. Creating a masterpiece, a scene of white and only white. Okay, I'm going to stop. What is the masterpiece? So this is where I may have to use my imagery, right? Helps the reader form a picture in their mind. I think I'm going to have to use some imagery for this. Creating a masterpiece is seeing a blanket of white and only white. So what is the masterpiece? Well, I'm thinking, so it's saying creating a masterpiece. So that's like a painting. I know a masterpiece is like a painting. We probably learned about that in art. And then a scene, a blanket of white and only white. Well, I think the masterpiece is the scene, right? The scene of like this white sky with the snow falling down, right? So I'm thinking this masterpiece is the scene of the white snow falling down. And then I actually know too that it's in a city, right? From the very end. So I'm thinking, the masterpiece must be this scene of white snow falling everywhere. Is the scene of white snow falling everywhere, right? White snow falling everywhere. All right, last one. So I'm going to read the next part and then we'll stop and do the question. Quieting the hustle of screaming horns, slowing the rush of passers-by, layers of white fleeting peaceful in the big city. Okay. What are the clues to the setting of the poem? Underline. Well, I know the setting, right? So the setting is the city because it says it right here. But what other clues does it give me that it's a city? So if y'all remember, we're going to tie in some social studies. We talked in social studies yesterday about urban communities, and we talked about how urban communities are loud, they're small, they have skyscrapers, they have lots of traffic. So think about when it says screaming horns. That kind of makes me think of traffic, right? Because screaming horns, there's usually a lot of traffic in the city. And then I also am thinking quieting the hustle. So cities are usually really busy. Slowing the rush of passers-by. I'm like, okay. So usually there's lots of people, right? Remember, we talked about that, how there's a lot of people in cities. And then also at the very end, it says in the big city. So we know this is actually, I'm going to put a big city. All right. So for independent reading, you're going to be doing something similar to this. You're going to be reading a poem and you're going to be answering questions, okay? The questions are not going to be the exact same, but they're going to be pretty similar. So on Canvas, after you click the next button, I'm just going to go straight to it. It's called I'm Being Abducted by Aliens, okay? So this is your poem. This is your poem. So you're going to read it and then you're going to answer the questions. You're going to read it and then you're going to answer the questions that go with it. There's 10 questions. So it shouldn't take you too long to take it, hopefully. Make sure you do the best that you can, and good luck. And remember, I'm just using this to see where we are at for poetry, because I just want to see where we're at and maybe what we need to keep reviewing. Got it? All right. Well, I hope y'all have an awesome rest of your Wednesday. Make sure you do the rest of the activities. Do awesome on the quiz, and I will see y'all on Thursday.